Let's just agree, it's not been a great year for ultra-thin phones. Samsung tried it and probably not making it again. Apple tried it and no one's really buying it. But then Motorola comes in with this, the new Motorola Edge 70, which has launched on Flipkart. And yes, this does not cost ₹1,00,000. It does not have a single camera or just a single speaker. And it's lighter than both of those phones while being crazy thin. But I know there are questions. How's the cameras? How's the performance? How's the battery life? Well, we'll get into all of that, but first let's just give that subscribe button a little love tap, just like that, and let's go. Because Flipkart has been hyping up the Motorola Edge 70 with these ads, and they're just apt for this device because the moment you pick this device up, you will smile, and I'm not even exaggerating it. I mean, it has this premium textured back which feels so good and grippy, and this is the Pantone bronze green color with these gold accents around the camera rings which look sweet. And it's also got the Moto AI key painted in, and this does all the stuff like quick notes, saving things to memory, contextual suggestions based on what you're doing right now, small but useful. And there's a brushed metal finish everywhere, be it on the frame, on the camera island, even the Moto logo, so nice. And like I said, it is crazy thin at just 5.99mm and looks crazy sleek compared to some of the other phones in this price segment. But you know what? Guess the weight. It's only 159 grams, and this is the best part. I mean, it feels crazy light, especially coming from phones which are mostly 200 grams plus these days, and this will be crazy light even with the case put on. And even though it's crazy lightweight, it's super sleek, it still feels very solid and just well built. I mean, like I said, the frame's aluminum, the front has Gorilla Glass 7i, back is polycarbonate, plus this military grade certification, both IP68 and IP69 ratings. I know it's not curved like most Moto phones, but it's not boxy flat either. The sides dip in a little towards the back, so it feels more comfy and soft to hold. And your hands are probably going to go, hey, this is nice. Now moving on to the display, you guys wanted it and Motorola has finally gone flat. Yeah, this is a proper flat screen now. I mean, it's a 6.67-inch Extreme AMOLED, 120Hz refresh rate, 1.5K resolution, 10-bit colors, HDR10+. Netflix doesn't support HDR, but the panel itself is very nice, very crisp, vibrant, and very responsive. And Extreme probably because this has a peak brightness of 4500 nits, around 1400 nits of high brightness mode, so bright enough outdoors. Plus, if you see, this has really thin bezels all around. Although they aren't symmetrical, the bottom chain is a bit thicker, but it's not a big deal if you ask me. The good thing is the screen also works when it's wet, so you're sorted in rains. And there's also an in-display fingerprint scanner which is placed too low actually, but it works well every single time, so no worries. Not like say an iPhone 8, this doesn't cut corners in terms of speakers. This has dual stereo speakers with the earpiece working as the second speaker. And yeah, these speakers sound pretty good too. There's Dolby Atmos, it gets plenty loud, has decent clarity. Yeah, there's not much bass, but that is pretty obvious for a slim phone. What I was also worried about are the haptics, and they're not the strongest, but still very crisp and precise while typing or while scrolling. No cheap, springy vibration, and I'm happy. Now in terms of connectivity, this has a USB 2 port, it's got Wi-Fi 6E, NFC is there, Bluetooth 5.4, and this has all the 5G bands you need, dual 5G SIM slots, but there's no eSIM support. Now, time for concern number one when it comes to slim phones, especially in this price segment, and that is the performance. But on paper, this looks pretty well-rounded. I mean, this has the pretty reliable Snapdragon 7 Gen 4, 8GB LPDDR5X RAM, 256GB UFS 3.1 storage. Yeah, there's only one variant. And you know what? The phone runs very smooth in everyday usage. Apps open fast. There's no lag as such anywhere. Now, I did see a bit of jitter when scrolling through the UI, but it went away when I switched the refresh rate from auto to 120Hz. But yeah, benchmarks are solid too. Not the most powerful in this segment, but again, like I said, pretty solid. It scored 1.2 million in Android 2, exactly what I expected from this chip. Good Geekbench numbers too. But what I was not expecting was a solid 85% stability in 3D mark and an all-green CPU throttling test where it throttled just 87% of its max performance. And yeah, it did not heat at all, so it's tuned really good. I even played some games like this, supports 120 FPS in BGMI, and we got an average of 118.3 with 100% smoothness. And we even played some of the heavier games and got 46 FPS average in Genshin, 45 FPS average in Wuthering, which aren't exactly big numbers, but again, this was on the maxed out graphics settings, and the 7 Gen 4 isn't exactly a gaming performance chip per se. Plus, even temperatures are very normal at 41, 42 degrees, so yes, no heating issues at all, which is a surprise, a good surprise. Now, concern number two when it comes to slim phones is obviously the battery life and cradle residue. This has got a 5000 mAh silicon carbon battery, which might not sound a lot, but from a slim phone perspective, it's good. And way better than Apple or Samsung, and the battery optimization here is solid. See, we got around 5 hours of screen on time on heavy usage, and that includes lots of gaming, benchmarks, camera tests, and yes, there was still 20% left. I mean, day-to-day usage, you can expect 7 hours of screen on time, which is great for a slim phone. And for charging, this comes with a 68 watt PD charger in the box, which takes 45 to 50 minutes for a full charge. There's also 15 watt wireless charging supported here, so no compromise. But where things get interesting are the cameras. You get a 50 megapixel primary camera with OIS, 50 megapixel ultra wide too, no telephoto, and that third lens is just a light sensor. On the front, you get a 50 megapixel camera with support for 4K 60 FPS videos from all three cameras, so pretty packed all around. And we are yet to obviously compare things, but we took some photos, and so far in daylight, good light, the main camera captures colors like how they wear with really good details. There's no weird over sharpening. Even the HDR is very impressive and handles bright and dark areas very nicely. Plus there's a macro mode too, which lets you take close-up shots like these. And in low light, I'd say it does a decent job, not the sharpest, but it handles lights really well and overall looks very natural. Now, like I said, there's no telephoto, but you can shoot 2x sensor crop images, which have a slight shift in color, but again, retain a lot of detail. Now, coming to the portraits, apart from 1x, you can shoot portraits in 35mm and 50mm, all sensor crops. And they're not as impressive with all the smoothing on the face. It also sometimes changes skin tones, and even edges are a hit or a miss. Plus, there's this purple fringe in sometimes, like in this photo. That said, the ultra-wide angle camera is also very good beating colors or HDR. And while colors aren't exactly the same as the main camera, there's not a big difference. It's also usable in low light too, but it does get a bit grainy around the edges. Now, as for videos, the videos turn out really stable, have natural colors. You can even switch lenses while recording, but jumping to ultra-wide does skip frames sometimes, so it's not all smooth. You can also shoot HDR videos from the main camera. Now, the good thing is even the selfie camera captures some really good photos in both daylight and low light with really good details on the face. And yeah, it does not mess up skin tones, so that's pretty solid. And yeah, videos from the front camera is also again very stable, the skin tones are good, and it also handles lights really well. So up till this point, this phone just feels like a win, and you're not giving up a lot of things for this sleek or lightweight design, so it's all great. But then comes the controversial part, the software. See, this runs on Hello UI based on Android 16 out of the box, which looks very much like stock Android, has all the good customization features, even some useful things like Moto gestures, secure folder, even Moto AI is really nice. You can ask it to remember things, record and transcribe meetings, get notification summaries, generate images, all of that. But my big problem is bloatware. See, it has pre-installed apps like PhonePay, LinkedIn, Adobe Scan, Copilot, and even this in this app store. Plus there's glance notifications, which also show up on the lock screen, and even the games folder, which is basically ads and recommendations. And yeah, all of this feels out of place on a Motorola phone, but yeah, you can remove this. Now, as for updates, this will get 3 years of OS updates and 5 years of security patches. And yeah, that brings me to the price. The Motorola Edge 70 starts at rupees 28,999 with the bank discount, and this will be available on Flipkart starting 23rd December. And if you ask me, for a phone this slim and light, it feels really complete. There's no heating issues, the dual speakers are loud, the haptics are good, battery life is solid, cameras are decent enough, and there's even fast charging, even wireless charging, IP69 rating, so it's got pretty much everything sorted. But you guys tell me, would you subscribe right now or just keep on watching and never do it? So yeah, just let me know on that. And yes, what do you guys think of the new Motorola Edge 70? Yay or nay? Comment down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.